Shalom, Apostle Tahar coming back at you with this truth, giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. And I'm going to entitle this, The Coming Passover and Abba Up. And if the Spirit jumps on me, I'll go into other topics. I don't know how long this is going to be. You know, normally what I'll do is I'll try to do a short video, and a lot of times the Spirit jumps on me, and the video wind up being, you know, a half an hour long, almost an hour long. You know, it depends on the Spirit. But anyway, first things first, I want to speak about the Passover. Currently, we're in the new moon. As of last night, February 25th, 2017, at sundown. So we're in the midst of the new moon as of right now, which is the Sabbath. And then you have your regular Sabbaths based upon the new moon. So right now, currently, it's a Sunday, 5 minutes past 12 Eastern Standard Time. So we're currently in the new moon. So next week, Saturday sundown will be a Sabbath, and then the following week after that, until the next new moon comes in. So we keep the new moons and we keep the Sabbaths. And the new moon is the basis on keeping those Sabbaths. So you might, a lot of brothers out there say, well, wait a minute, was we supposed to keep the Sabbath Friday, what was that, the 24th into the 25th? Was we supposed to keep that Sabbath as well besides the new moon? Yes, because when you go into the law, and let me see if I can find it right quick. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, this is Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, which when you read from the first verse down, and this law was given to us in the wilderness, because when we were slaves in Egypt, and we remained in Egypt for 430 years. The first 30 years we were at peace with the so-called Pharaoh at that time. And it tells you in Exodus how that Pharaoh died and a new Pharaoh came up, which knew not Joseph. I mean, you can read the story, you can read the account yourself. And basically they said, look, we got to put these people in slavery because they're going to join forces with other nations, and they're becoming great, and they're going to take us down. Which they had the history of that on the Hyksos or the Hyksos, which I strongly believe were Israelites. Because when you read about the Hyksos, it says they were Semitic people. So at one time we became great, and the people of Mizraim became greater than us. And the reason why they became greater than us and, you know, put us into slavery is because of the prophecy that the Most High gave to Abraham in in the book of Genesis, what is that, the 15th chapter, it tells you that we would be in bondage, hard bondage, for 400 years. Anyway, when we left during the time of the so-called Egyptian rulership, they had their own calendar. They had, they did things based upon the sun, the moon, the stars, and their calendar was based upon, I believe, a 10-day week. If you go do the research on that, many scholars will tell you that it was based upon a 10-day week. And at that time, we didn't have these laws, these high holy days. All we did was we were under the Egyptian captivity, but we knew that we were Hebrews. Just like today, the hundreds of millions of Jakes or billions of Jakes throughout the world, they believe that they're other nations. So they're following the ways of the nations that they came up under. Like most Israelites, they'll celebrate Christmas, so-called New Year's, so-called Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day, which when you're around Jake, when those holidays come up, Jake gets all into them holidays, man. That's a religious thing to them. Easter. So the same thing happened back there in Egypt. We had to deal with, like I said, we knew that we were Hebrews, but we had to do what the Egyptians said. Now, when we left out of Egypt, or so-called Egypt, because that's a Greek word, we went into the wilderness, and that's when the Most High gave, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai gave the commandments to Moses to give to the children of Israel. So when you read Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, it breaks it down. And the first day is in the 3rd verse, which says, 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is a Sabbath of Yahweh in all your dwellings. So when was the starting point on that? Did you have a calendar out there in the wilderness? Did you go to a drugstore or a convenience store, or a gas station to give you free calendars? Did you get your calendar and put it on a tree? And you say, oh, here comes Friday, so Friday night is a Sabbath. No, they didn't have no concept of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They went by days, the first day, the second day, the third day. So what would be the third day? If you're using common sense, it would be the new moon. So it says 6 days. After that, for 6 days, because the new moon you didn't work. So you count six other days going into the 7th day. That was your Sabbath. So now I'm going to jump down. Because I'm going to prove to you that you have the new moon rest, which is a Sabbath, and then you have your regular Sabbath. Okay, it's right here in the 38th verse, Leviticus 23:38. I'll start from the 37th verse. It says, these are the feasts of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. And convocation means a calling to offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. Now we don't have to offer a burnt offering because Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls the Christ, Yahweh Shai became that sacrifice for the children of Israel, starting with the elect. It says a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offering, everything upon his day. So when the Sabbath comes in, because you have a lot of groups out there, well, not a lot, but you have some groups that make it convenient if the Passover comes in on a Thursday night or Wednesday night or whatever, they'll put it up for a Saturday night, which that's not, scriptural. It says a meat offering, a sacrifice, and a drink offering, everything upon his day. So you have the new moon, where you cooked before the new moon came in, and you had a feast. You can read about that with the account of David and King Saul at that time. And there was a point, and that's in, I believe that's 2 Samuel, if I'm not mistaken, where David didn't show up for the new moon feast. So I mean, if you at your leisure, you can read it yourself. But it says, the 38th verse, beside the Sabbaths of it says 37 verse again, everything upon his day, beside the Sabbaths of Yahweh, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your free will offerings, which ye give unto Yahweh. Meaning, you do certain sacrifices, but you might give a gift, or you might do a free will offering. You have what's called a Day of Atonement, which you fast, but you might decide to do your own fast besides the Day of Atonement fast. All right? So let me read that again. 37. These are the feasts of Yahweh. So he went into all the feasts, starting from the first verse on down. And then other feast days came after this. Like, for example, Hanukkah, Purim. Oh, there was another one, the day of Nicanor. You can read about that. It says, these are the feasts of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offering, everything upon his day, beside the Sabbaths of Yahweh. So you can't say, well, wait a minute, we had a couple Sabbath 2 days ago and the new moon came in, so we got to keep another Sabbath. Yes, you got to keep another Sabbath, because you have your regular Sabbath, and then you have your new moon. And when you understand how the so-called Hebrew calendar works, it's 29.53 days. So 29 and a half days, that's how the cycle goes. So you would have 28 days, which will be cut up into 4 sevens, which is your Sabbath. And then the new moon will come in, and then it will be like a reset. Because if the Most High had it where it fell on every so-called Wednesday, wouldn't the Most High have a 28-day calendar? No, but the cycle of the calendar is 29.53 days. That's why the new moon, sometimes the new moon will fall in on a Monday night. Sometimes it will fall in on a Tuesday night. And when you check the actual new moon, sometimes it shows to come in the morning. Sometimes it shows to come in the middle of the day, like 3 in the afternoon, 12 noon, 6 p.m., 8 a.m., 7 a.m., because of that point 53. Anyway, I went a little in on this subject, which is good. So that's why we know that today is the new moon. So next week on Saturday night will be the Sabbath. The following week, another Sabbath. The following week, another Sabbath. So forth and so on. And you have that last Sabbath. Then the new moon might come in 2 days after that or a day after that. So you go to the new moon and then you follow suit with those Sabbaths. So now that we know that the new moon is here, and this is considered the first month of the year. Other brothers will go into March, and then their Passover might be on the so-called April or whatever, because the calendar's all messed up. We don't know what really we don't know what year we're in, because Esau's calendar, for the most part, I'm going back. He really during the time of the you had the prior to the Gregorian calendar, you had the Julian calendar, which that Julian calendar was all messed up. Which that calendar, the Julian calendar, was based upon the Egyptian calendar, because before Julius, made the people accept that calendar, he had taken a trip to Egypt. You read the history on that. And then I believe it was around the 15th century, if I'm not mistaken, either the 15th or the 16th century, which is the 1500s, Pope Gregory did away with the Julian calendar and set up what is now called the Gregorian calendar, which we go by today. The wall calendar is the Gregorian calendar. So the Gregorian calendar is based upon 365 days. Then you have a leap year. Now, pursuant to the Hebrew calendar, if you go by the 29.53 days, a year cycle would be what is that? I believe 354 days. And High Priest Ariah used to teach that you had 360 days in a year. So when you compare that to the current Gregorian calendar, we're way off, man. We're way off. Because every year there's an extra 5 to like 9 days added to the Hebrew calendar. So I mean we're way off, man. So the Most High would have to reset everything when we get in the kingdom. Anyway, since we're in the new moon, and this is the first month, like I said, you have other camps that are gonna, it's gonna be a month later when they refer to that as a new moon. But I said the calendar's all jacked up. 14 days from this day, which is what is that? The 11th at evening will be the Lord's Passover, or Yahweh's Passover. So next week, Saturday sundown, and then the following week is the Passover. So when does the Passover come in? March 11th at sundown. So now I want to go into the subject of Abba up. And this was, I guess this had to be put up 2 years ago, but I happened to run into it, so now we're talking about it. This video, Abba up. If you put in Abba up, you'll see a bunch of videos. It'll say Abba up. Tyler says the king is coming. Must watch. There's another one. Abba up. Baby says the king is coming. And you have a 7-minute version, you have a 1-minute version, you have a 2-minute and 42-second version. And this is a little baby by the name of Lily. Okay, one description of the video is that it says at midnight hours before this video was taken, Lily woke us up looking, I'm knocking and talking at her door. She was saying with urgency, she went on to say, Abba up, and she was pointing to the sky. She said, the king is coming, he's bringing presents. And then she knocked on the footboard of her bed. She knocked on it 3 times. Then she bowed. It looked like she prostrated or bowed down her head 3 times. And she kept saying the same thing. Abba up. The king is coming. And then she took her mother's hands and formed it into the, when you pray, you put your hands together. And then whatever version of the video you watch, her mother explains it, what she thought she was saying. So, I took it to be a fulfillment of scriptures. Now, she looks like an Edomite, but she could be an Israelite. Now, let's say she's an Edomite. Can an Edomite have dreams of the Most High coming back? Yeah. Did not Alexander have a dream when he saw the high priest and the company of high priests that came before him? He bowed down to him when he was coming into power. And he said that I had a dream about this man, which he was talking about the high priest at that time, and he bowed down to him. And I believe that's in the Josephus. If I have time, I'll look it up. Maybe do a video on it. He bowed down to the priest, and the priest stood him up and explained to him in the book of Daniel that you're that guy. You're the guy in the book of Daniel. The leopard, the he-goat. So Alexander came into power because of prophecy, which is found in Daniel, the 7th chapter, Daniel, the 8th chapter, partially in Daniel, the 11th chapter. And this is why we believe so strongly in these scriptures, because, when you read, for example, Daniel, the 7th chapter, you read about the first beast and the second beast and the third beast, and the fourth beast was diverse from the other 3 beasts before it. And you know that the first beast, which is a lion having eagle's wings, that eventually stood up upright, and a man's mind was given to it. We know that that's the Babylonian Empire. And then you can actually go into secular history and read about the Babylonian Empire. The height of the Babylonian Empire was during the time of Nebuchadnezzar and his son. What was his name? Belshazzar, which was either his son or his grandson. So when you read the scriptures, you cannot understand the prophecies without understanding history. You have to understand history, ancient history, a secular history. So you read the scriptures and then you go to the secular history. So the first king or the first kingdom, the first beast was Nebuchadnezzar. The second beast was for lack of a better term, a two-part beast. It speaks of the beast or the bear, which was the second beast standing up on one side, having 3 ribs in his teeth. That represents the Medo-Persian Empire. The Medes came into power first, and then the Persians became stronger than the Medes, which they were a combined empire. And the first king of the Medes, the king that took down the Babylonians and made it a province, because Babylon wasn't totally destroyed. When Darius came into power and took down the Babylonian king, he made Babylon a province of the Medo-Persian Empire. So when you read Isaiah the 13th chapter about Babylon, it's not talking about ancient Babylon. It's talking about this Babylon, which is America. When you read Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51, and there's many other scriptures on Babylon. Isaiah 47, Isaiah 14. And when these prophets wrote these prophecies down, they didn't know it was talking about the new Babylon. All they knew is that it was talking about the ancient Babylonians. They didn't understand that. But when you read into these scriptures, Isaiah 13, Isaiah 14, Isaiah 47, Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51, and there's many other scriptures that speak about Babylon. It's talking about this current Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, or the new Babylon. And then from there you have the Greeks, which in Daniel 8 it speaks about the Greek Empire as being a rough goat. In Daniel the 7th chapter it speaks about the Greek Empire being a leopard, I believe, with 4 wings. And then you have the Roman Empire, which that's the beast that was different from all the beasts previous to the 4th beast. And it speaks about having many heads and many crowns and horns. So that was you can say the biggest empire at that time, going back 2,000 years ago. And the beast is back, which is NATO and the EU. And now the EU is beginning to break up with the Brexit. And then you have other nations wanting to break away from the EU. So, I mean, if you do you want to build your faith, you got to read these scriptures, and you got to apply these scriptures to secular accounts in history. And this is why guys fall off, because they lack faith. It speaks in see, this is getting to be a long video. It speaks in the book of Hebrew. Let me go to that. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, the book of Hebrews 4. and we're close, man. If you can't see, if you can't see that we're at the end of this man's system by studying the scriptures and linking it up with historical accounts, then you just came into this truth for nothing. Okay, Hebrews 4:1 and 2. It says, let us therefore fear, and a lot of you men out there don't fear. That's why you got a lot of our people that sell out, because they don't fear the Most High. They read this book, the scriptures, and it doesn't register to them. You know, they're dealing with the here and now. It said, let us therefore fear lest a promise being left us of entering into his rest, which is the kingdom, any of you should seem to come short of it. So a lot of you are going to come short of making it to the kingdom. You're going to have to suffer the second death because you're not written in the Lamb's book of life. The only ones that are written in the Lamb's book of life are the elect. Second verse. For unto us was the gospel preached, which is the whole book, as well as unto them, to others. So you have, in a way, a mixed multitude coming into this truth. You got guys that are really not in the truth. You got guys that are the prophets of the Lord in the past. Let me read that again. Second verse. For unto us was the gospel preached as well as unto them. But the word preached did not profit them. See, when you come into this, you have to grow in this thing. You can't be stagnant. If you a guy just happy staying on the side and saying, I'll just hold a sign, I'll hold posts, and you ain't got two years go by, 3 years go by, 7 years go by, and basically you on the sideline holding posts, there's a good chance that you are not a man of the Lord, because you're supposed to grow in this thing. Let me read the second verse again. For unto us was the gospel preached as well as unto them. But the word preached did not profit them. When you open up a business, and I can click on this word profit. Matter of fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. Okay, and the word there, I'll read it. It's ophileo, which is Greek, which means to assist, to be useful. See, standing on holding posts and holding up a sign for 7, 8, 9 years, you're really not being useful. You know, you're just a warm body in the camp, or maybe a cold body in the camp. It says to assist, to be useful, or advantageous, to profit. When you open a business, let's say you're a retail business, right? Let's say you sell t-shirts. You might go to a company that make you t-shirts and they might charge you $5. If you put the t-shirts out there and sell the t-shirt for $5, are you going to prosper in your business? Hell no. You got to sell your t-shirts for whatever, $10, $15. And if people like your t-shirts, what do you get back? You get back the money that you put in, the $5 that you put in, plus another $5 or plus another $10. So if you sell 100 t-shirts, you invested $500. You sell 100 t-shirts at, let's say, $10 a shirt. What are you getting back? $1,000. What is your profit? You got your 500 back, then you got 500 in profit. If it's 1,000 shirts, then you get 5,000 in profit. And that's how companies, businesses build up. So this is about a build up, man. When you come into this truth, you gotta grow. The Apostle Paul spoke about growing. It goes on to say to be useful, i.e., to benefit, advantage, better, prevail, profit. So you're supposed to become better in this thing. You're supposed to grow in this thing. Which there's guys that are not doing. They're happy just, picking up a sign and holding posts. And this is why a lot of you guys fall out. Because this thing becomes a burden to you. When you read in Revelation, the 10th chapter, about John receiving the book, the little book, it said it was told him eat the book, and in his mouth was sweet as honey, and when he in his belly it became bitter. So a lot of you guys, it sounds good to you, but then you have in your mind, well, the Most High better come back next year. If you don't come back next year, I'm thinking about leaving this thing and joining the Muslims or something. That was the bitter part, because you attempted to digest the book, and that's also in the book of Ezekiel. You attempted to digest the book, and it didn't taste good when it went down into your belly. So you basically farm it back up, and you became unfruitful and unprofitable. Second verse, Hebrews 4 verse 2. For unto us was the gospel preached. Now the word preach is somebody that speaks this word to you. The Most High set up men to teach other men and women. And the gospel is the whole book. You can't add to the book or take away from the book. A lot of guys get offended by what's in the book. They choke on the word. It said, for unto us was the gospel preached, as well as unto them. But the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it. So what did you lack? You lacked faith. Third verse, for we which have believed do enter into rest, which is the kingdom, as he said, as I have sworn in my wrath, if they shall enter into my rest, although the works were finished from the foundation of the world. So it was already established who's going to be saved and who's not going to be saved. Okay, so now let's go back to because I was speaking about the Abba Up video. And it's funny how the spirit works, because that video was put up 2 years ago and we just discovered it. I believe that's the spirit. The spirit's telling us something. Anyway, I'm going to read Acts, and I'm going to close it on these two scriptures. Acts 2, verse 16 down to 22, and then I'm going to go to the book of Joel. Because this is reiterating what Joel said. It says, but this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel. 17 verse. And it shall come to pass in the last days, and we're in the last days, saith the Most High, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And on my servants and on my handmaidens, servants meaning men that follow the Most High, and women that follow the Most High. And you have Israelites out there that don't follow the Most High that receive visions. I will pour out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy. The word prophesy means to say before. 19, and I will show wonders in heaven above, So begin to look up in the sky at night. Look to see if there's any so-called UFOs out there. You had what was called you had a eclipse, a lunar eclipse, the other day, a couple of weeks ago, and then you had a comet go by, and that was on a Friday night a couple of weeks ago, and it was also a full moon. It tells you in Genesis 1:14, the Most High set up those lights in the heavens for signs, seasons, days, and years. So we're in that time. It says, and I will show wonders in heaven above and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and notable day of Yahweh come. So there is going to be a great and notable day before Yahweh come. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of Yahweh shall be saved. And it goes deeper than just calling on the name of the Most High. It goes a lot deeper than that. Bear with me for 1 minute. I'll call you back. Because I'm in the middle of something. All right, bye. Okay, I'm back. I had to pick up that phone real quick. '18 verse again. It says, and on my servants and on my handmaids I will pour out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy. And I will show wonders in heaven above and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and notable day of Yahweh come. So we're waiting for that great and notable day of Yahweh. That's also in Malachi, the book of Malachi. It says, the day shall come that shall burn as an oven. 21, and it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of Yahweh shall be saved. So that, like I said, that's his. You got to. It's obvious that somebody knows the name of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. And just because you know the name and call on the name doesn't mean you're going to be saved. Because if you go to Matthew 7 verse 21, it tells you, I'm pretty much paraphrasing, that, just because you call on the name of the Lord, that doesn't mean you're going to be saved, but them that do the will of the Father. So you got to call on his name and keep these scriptures and do what the scriptures say. Keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, going out on the highways and the byways, in season, be ready in season and out of season. And by the way, all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai for giving us the spirit to go out another full winter, because we're at the end of winter. Last year we went out all winter. The year before that we went out all winter. The 10 years before that we went out all winter. It says, ye men of Israel, hear these words, Yahweh Shai of Nazareth, a man approved of the Most High among you by miracles and wonders and signs which the Most High did by him in the midst of you, as yourselves also know. Okay, now I'm in the book of Joel, the second chapter and the 19th verse. It says, Yahweh will answer and say unto his people, which are the Israelites, behold, I will send you corn and wine and oil, and ye shall be satisfied therewith. And we're going to have corn and wine and oil in the kingdom, because our kingdom is going to be an earthly kingdom. And I will no more make you a reproach among the heathen. So that's obviously talking about the coming kingdom. 20th verse. But I will remove. Now, before we get into the kingdom, this major event is going to happen. And even prior to this major event, another major event is going to happen, which is the making the RFID NFC microchip mandatory, because it is going to happen. And a lot of these Israelites and other groups that are following these other leaders that are teaching that the mark of the beast is an embargo and Christianity and or whatever they teach. A lot of those guys, they're gonna wake up and they're gonna say, wait a minute, man, let me see if I can get with GMS, or they might go along with it. 20th verse. But I will remove far off from you the northern army. Now the uttermost north is talking about current day Russia, but this northern army is talking about the army of North America. That's why this place is called North America. And will drive him into a land barren and desert. That's over there in the Middle East. That's the hotbed of this war. The war of Armageddon is going to kick off in the Middle East when all the nations are gathered. Read Joel 3, which is the chapter over from the 9th verse on down. It says, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. They're going to be facing the Euphrates, and their backs are going to be to the Red Sea. So it will be somewhere in that area, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, in that area, that region of land. It said toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the uttermost sea, and his stink is from the rotten corpses of these military people, because they're going to drain every military individual, male or female, and we're looking for Donald J. Trump or King Trump in Congress to declare a draft. It says, and his stink shall come up, and his stink is talking about men and women, because you have a lot of women in the military too. A lot of our people, Israelites, are part of this military, and they're gonna be destroyed over there. And his ill savior shall come up, because he have done great things. Yeah, wickedly great things. Fear not, O land, be glad and rejoice, for Yahweh will do great things. Be not afraid, pasture of the wilderness do spring, for the tree bringeth her fruit, the fig tree and the wine do yield their strength. So in the kingdom, everything is going to blossom. Be glad then, ye children of Zion, which are the Israelites, and rejoice in Yahweh, your God, your power. For he hath given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the rain, which is another word for blessing. The former rain and the latter rain in the first month, which is we call it the Passover month, because after the Passover, that's when the Feast of Weeks come in. And the floor shall be full of wheat, and the fat shall overflow with wine and oil. So we're going to receive blessings. And I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten, the cankerworm, and the caterpillar, and the palmer worm, my great army which I sent among you. 26. And ye shall eat in plenty and be satisfied and praise the name of Yahweh, because we're all going to praise the name of Yahweh, because we're going to be in the kingdom and we're going to know his name. Your power that have dealt wondrously with you, and my people shall never be ashamed. So that's obviously talking about the kingdom. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am Yahweh, your power. Now, when you go to Revelation, the 21st chapter, it tells you how the Lord himself is going to dwell among us. And none else. And my people shall never be ashamed. So who are the Most High's people? The children of Israel. 28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my flesh upon all. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. It says now it seems like it's talking about we're going to receive these visions after we're in the kingdom. No, it's talking about before the kingdom. 29th verse. And also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. And we're in that time. And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of Yahweh come. Last verse, verse 32. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of Yahweh shall be delivered. Or I should say Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. For in Mount Zion, which Zion represents the children of Israel, and in Jerusalem, Jerusalem is a people before it's a place, shall be deliverance. So we're looking to be delivered, as Yahweh have said, and in the remnant whom Yahweh shall call. So the call is talking about a certain number of our people being delivered. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom. And, we here at Great Millstone, we liken ourselves and believe that we are the prophets coming back. And we should all be in the spirit of prophets. We really shouldn't, you want to get technical, we really shouldn't be calling ourselves after military lieutenants and captains, and we use that, but these camps are supposed to be a company of prophets. When you read the account of Saul, it was said of Saul that Saul went with the prophets. He was prophesying among the prophets. Was he a prophet? No, he was a king, a military man, a king, but the spirit jumped on him and he became a prophet for a short time, and he was among the prophets. Behold, Saul is among the prophets. So we are prophets before we're anything else. Not generals, not captains. So your job is to build up to being a speaker, not being a military man. It's about being a speaker. So the order is in the New Testament, 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, it says apostles first, secondarily, prophets third, teachers, helps, governments. So this group right here, we liken ourselves as being the prophets of the Most High. So what do prophets do? They prophesy. Where do they get the prophecies from? The book, the scriptures. Are the prophecies already in the book? Yes. Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, Obadiah, Zephaniah, Joel. All those men were prophets. They were not military men or businessmen. They were prophets. And they went out and prophesied. So, your mindset should be on prophesying, on pushing this word out. 1 Corinthians, the 14th chapter. But rather that ye prophesy. That's what in the first verse of that chapter. What manner of person you ought to be in all holy conversation. That's in 2 Peter 3, verse 10 on down. It says, in which the heavens shall melt with fervent heat. So this place is getting ready to go down, man. So you need to put your prophetic hats on, your spiritual hats on. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.